Hey, how's it going, everybody? I just got literally just got done with Halloween. Halloween ends. I really got done with this. I'm gonna just tell y'all right off the rip, man. I really enjoyed watching all these Halloweens, and I I have no problem with this. There's only what I mean by that is like I could thoroughly go into this thing and tell you all about it, but I know you guys watched it as much as I have, and I thought I enjoyed all these. Every one of these Halloween movies I enjoyed, and this was the last one. And all of them right along with everything. Halloween ends. It ends right here. The climax was pretty good. I like how they was. You know what I think I really liked about this is the fact that when I watched it, it's been a while since I watched it, and you know what? When I watched this yesterday, I actually had to open it up because I remember watching it on. I went to the theater to go see it, and I bought it a long time ago, but I never opened this up. And sure enough, man, well, last night I went to pop it in. I had to open it up. I said, "Wow, this is still brand new." I got a lot of movies that are still brand new, but this story, I thought this story was really cool, man. I remember the first time I watched this, I was like, "Man, I'm not quite sure if I'm feeling this or not." Because I remember when I walked out of the theater, I liked the movie, but I was wondering why I felt the way I did. I could see how they told the story and how they was trying to give you a complete story and how they was trying to wrap it up and stuff. And I like how they tied in that one kid that ended up going dark, the one that had a lot to do with that little boy's death. I never did understand how that happened. Why would you buy a house with a stairwell like that? But uh, I like how he went dark and how Laurie Strode can see the evil in his eyes. And then her granddaughter was she been through all kinds of crap because she lost her mom and dad, and she was just getting tired of the whole thing. And Haddonfield, the area that they lived in, was just they all was reeling from that Michael Myers hangover. I call it the Michael Myers hangover. Uh, but if you guys hear noise in the background, I'm doing my laundry. But this movie was. I just literally got done about a half hour ago. I'm getting ready to work out now, but I thoroughly enjoyed this, you guys. I really did. I've. It's been almost 2 weeks now. I've watched every Halloween except for the Rob Zombie ones. Except for the Rob Zombie ones, and uh, I watched the Rob Zombie ones back in. I think it was 2000 and 2007 or 8 when I watched the two Rob Zombie ones that came out. But I liked those two, but I wasn't in love with them, because they were Rob Zombie ones. But that one that Rob Zombie went, the first one that Rob Zombie put out, I really liked it though. But that second one, I kind of thought he dropped the ball. But this is pretty good, man. This is pretty good. There was some good kill shots in here. There was some good kills in here. Not kill shots. Good. There was some good kills in here. Uh, that battle man, there was a part where she was, Laurie Strode was going to commit suicide, and uh, and then she had lit a pumpkin, and I remember she lit it because she was writing a book, and then because that kid went around and he killed that doctor and that nurse. Well, he killed that doctor, and then Michael Myers killed the nurse. And then there was a lot of returning people in here as well because that woman that got stabbed in the neck, she was outside the store. She couldn't talk, and the woman that was taking care of her said, "This is your fault. That's the reason why she can't talk. She can't talk since then." I was like, "Man, Laurie Strode ain't had nothing to do with Michael Myers killing her. You just happened to be at the wrong place at the wrong time." I kept saying to myself, but they had to set the movie up that way. What else? I know you guys watched this movie, so I don't really need to recap uh, everything. But uh, the you know, just with that kid going dark and stuff, and uh, Laurie Strode's granddaughter was attracted to him and stuff, and I could see the attraction. I really could. I could see the attraction. I thought they did a good job setting that up. Um, but uh, it just there's not much I can say because I have to say I'm just telling you guys I enjoyed watching these. I've had a blast watching all these. I really have. The reason why I'm kind of looking the way I am, with a big smile on my face, because I'm surprised how much I really liked this one. I'm really surprised how much I really liked this one because I'm not saying I didn't like it. What I'm saying is it's been a while since I watched Halloween Ends, and uh, you know, I just started watching it last night. I fell asleep, and I was like, I gotta get my rest, so I went on, turned it off, and then I finished it this morning. And I really like how they did this story. I'm serious. I really like how they did this story. I like how they tied that kid in. He was going dark, and Michael Myers was living down in that little sewer place. It wasn't a sewer, but it was kind of like a place with water. It's just it's a little hideout place. And then there was just a lot of stuff in this movie. You also liked how they did the backstory. You know how Laurie was telling the story and she was writing the book. They had a lot of people that was returning from the original, from the Halloween Kills. The sheriff. The sheriff was back. He had an attraction to Laurie, and then that one girl that was a survivor. She came back because the other three people got killed in Halloween Kills. There was just a lot of little things in here. There was just a lot of little things in here. I thought that they did a really good job. Because when I was watching this, this morning, I was sitting there going like, wow, I've just a lot of stuff in here I didn't realize. Because I remember watching it. And I remember walking out the theater going like, man, I liked it. I really did. But, they really went full on blood, though. They really went full on blood. But I like how they covered how Haddonfield has had been through a lot because of the Michael Myers thing, and then they were showing how they had a couple that got shot, and then the sheriff they said, "Do you think Michael Myers did this?" And he said, "No, Michael Myers don't shoot nobody." Then there was a person that hung themselves, and then there was a couple other things. And I like how they covered the part that there was so much darkness in that town due to Michael Myers leaving such a scar on there. And so they did a really good job of trying how they could tie everything all in together. So I think to me, this movie right here, after watching it last night and after finishing it this morning, I think they really did a good job trying to tie everything together because they had a lot of old scenes from the original 1978 Halloween, and just like they did in Halloween Kills, they had a lot of. They even had Dr. Loomis in Halloween Kills, and Dr. Loomis. They spliced it in. How they blend old films in with the current ones. I'm impressed with this, and I know that there's going to be people that's going to like Halloween, and then they're going to like Halloween Kills, and then they're going to like Halloween Ends. I like all of them. Now, as far as my rankings is, I'm going to put a quick rankings up here after I get done working out because I have to make sure I put it up right. But I enjoyed this, you guys. I really did. I really did. I enjoyed it. I was just impressed with it, I was just impressed. And I like how Laurie Strode's granddaughter decided to get out of Haddonfield. I said, girl, you need to get out of Haddonfield. You need to start. You got a young life ahead of you. You need to get out of Haddonfield. But I did like the fact that they crushed him in that car crusher because the fact that, Michael Myers is evil. So that means evil like that has a knack of just, but I like how she said, Michael Myers is dead, but evil has a way of coming back in a different form, and that's true. And, she ended out, she was writing that book and, but the kills in here was pretty good. I thought they were real good. I liked the fact that the boy had that mom, that overbearing mom, and then she had the dad his dad was the junkyard guy that worked at the junkyard, and he was kind of like a simp. I call them simps. You know, simps are guys that don't have no backbone when it comes to their wives or something like that. Something like that. You know, he just didn't want to have. His wife ran the house. She wore the pants in the house, so that kid had to deal with his overbearing mom. But he ended up killing his mom. Yeah, he ended up killing his mom, and he didn't have to kill his dad because he made those kids that was picking on him go to that junkyard because he was gonna kill all of them. And then when he ran over that girl, his dad was like trying to help that girl, and then he give that kid that gun, and that kid went to shoot Michael Myers, which was his actual son. And then he stood up when he seen he had the mask off. That was his boy. He's like, no, 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 and he shot him in the head. Pretty slick how they did that. And then I thought, you know, that one girl really didn't want to mess with him, but he ended up killing her anyway because she shouldn't have just went along. She should just like, guys, I don't want to have nothing to do with this. I'm not hanging out with you. So she was a casualty of hanging out with people. You know, when that girl that he ran over that truck, because she didn't really do anything to him. It was those two guys and that black chick that was really on him. But that one girl, she just kept hanging out with him, and she had to pay the price. And then when he had ran her over, you know, he walked up. I think he killed everybody, and he stepped on her head and crushed her head. That was funny because they used that same thing in Halloween. Halloween Kills too. You know, he stepped on somebody's head and crushed it. The practical effects that they use, you know, the effects they use in here, they did a good job with how they use things to make blood come out. It's just like I said, when they had that kitchen fight scene, and they were in the kitchen doing that fight scene, and they sliced his wrist, and then they sliced Laurie Strode's. That kitchen fight scene was pretty legit. I really like that. But man, when he went in there and killed that DJ, though, that DJ was a butthead. And he walked in there, and that DJ turned around, and he goes, "What the?" And then you heard all that commotion. Man, he took his head and started banging his head on that turntable, and then he took the scissors and clipped off his tongue, and then slammed his head down on that turntable, and that turntable was going around, and his tongue was flipping up and down, and the needle was bouncing up and down. It was pretty slick, man. But but when Laurie acted like she was gonna, because Laurie knew that kid, and there was part where he was in that house that he killed that kid. He was sleeping there, and he heard this noise. He woke up, and she was sitting there in a chair, rocking back and forth, kind of like going back, making a noise, and then they had a little conversation there. But man, when she was gonna commit suicide, and then she shot that punk, and then he opened up the door, and then when he opened up the door, she shot him like twice, and then he fell down the steps. He goes, she looked at her, she goes, "You really thought I was gonna commit suicide?" That was a good part. And then she walks downstairs, and then she starts talking to him. She grabs him by his head like this, and then he can hear Laurie Strode's daughter pull up, and then she goes, "Go ahead, kill me. Go ahead and do it," you know. And he looks at her, he starts smiling. He was like I said, if nobody can't have her, and then he stuck that knife right here in his throat. Then that's when she walked in, and then she was like, no, you know, because she's kind of tired of this Michael, because she was trying to tell him that Michael Myers is, you got Michael Myers living in you, you just won't let him go. But man, to me, that's a lot for. If you did go through that and you survived that many times and went through that many things, you know, and her granddaughter sitting there yelling there was some good confrontation between her and her grandma. Words exchanged and the heated arguments they had, he did a really good job with that. So overall, you guys, I didn't want this to be this long. I'm going to try to cut these videos down, but yeah, this is good. This is I'm very impressed with this. Reason why I'm saying this again is because of the fact that I actually haven't watched this. I literally opened this up last night. Yeah, I opened this up last night. I didn't even open it because I remember I had watched it a long time ago. I mean, when it first came out. So anyway, God bless and enjoy your Sunday. We'll catch you next video.